everybody, and welcome to Cards by Cheryl. That's my YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be showcasing a really pretty card that I made using this Flowering Cactus stamp and die set. This particular stamp set comes as a kit, and this is the kit that's currently available in the January to June mini catalog. It retails for $70, but you get the full stamp set, all of the dies, coordinating dies to go with it. You get 8 sheets of each of the designer series paper that are double-sided, couple rolls of really cool twine, and something a little different, which are these felt sheets. They have stitched and die-cut little flowers and designs that you can use to embellish your card with, which I have used on this card here. So let's get started. I've prepared, if you bought my class to go, the package you'll get for this particular card comes like this. It has all of the components pre-cut and scored for you. But I'm going to walk you through how to put this card together today. And so I've prepared my own little kit for this video. And I'm going to start with a card base that's cut a little bit differently. This is Highland Heather, and it's cut at 5.5 by 5 1/4. And then it's scored at 4 1/4. And what we're going to do is run this through the die machine, and we're going to add the little embossed detail to this front edge. And I'll show you how to do that. So this is the stitching die that we're going to use. And we're just going to place this down. Let me grab my platform here. So you're going to lay your card down and then position this on the top of the paper up here. It's going to be short, but we're going to run it through twice. So I'm going to grab my top sandwich panel and make sure it doesn't shift on me. Run that through. And you'll see that you'll need to run it through again because there's this little piece down here that needs to be covered. So I'm just going to shift my paper up a little bit and put this right down there like that. And it's going to come out looking very seamless, like it was one big long die. Run this through. And there you have it. See, it's nice and stitched all the way. You can't even tell that you ran it through twice. So that's that piece. Then we're going to take our bone folder and make a nice crease. Fold this over like so. And you're going to want to give this a good press so that it lays pretty flat. Then out of your kit, you're going to grab, this is another piece of Highland Heather that is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and this is going to get glued onto this tab right here. And so what you're going to want to do is place this in here like that, line it up best you can, and you're going to have a little bit of a lip here. I don't know if you can see that, but I'll show you. We're going to trim that off. So we're going to grab our glue and our silicone mat so we keep our desk nice and tidy, and throw some glue down. It can be pretty generous. Doesn't matter what side you use to lay this down, so you're going to butt this right up to the score line. Fold it over, and with glue you have some time to wiggle this around to make sure it's right, lined up on the top and lined up on the bottom. And I have a little bit of glue that seeped through these little X's right here on the card, but that's okay. We can get rid of those once it dries. So now you have your card, and you've got a little tiny lip here. If it doesn't bother you, you can leave it. I'll trim that off later. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put the front piece of DSP on. So I included a piece that's just a little bit larger than what you need, because if you notice on this, these edges are super crisp. And so what I do is I cut this after I've glued it on, so all of the layers get a nice crisp cut edge to it. So let me show you how I did that. So we're going to glue this on. And I'm going to go pretty close to the edges because I want a nice seal. I don't want anything lifting. Grab this, and this is directional, so you want to make sure you have it upside right. And then we're just going to shimmy this up to the edge of that border and press. Get that pressed out nice and good. So you can see there's some overhang here, right? And when we tie the twine on, the twine actually goes underneath this back layer, so we're going to do the back layer after we tie the twine. So for now though, let's get rid of this excess. And I did have a little bit of glue seep out here. So we're just going to grab our trimmer and I'm going to line this up with the gutter of where I think it should be trimmed. If you're not comfortable doing this with your trimmer, you can also do it with the scissors by hand. So that's pretty good. Do the same thing here. And then there. So now see, you have this nice clean edge, nice and cut. And now we're going to trim off this extra right now since we're doing some trimming. And I didn't get a good clean cut right there. So we're going to just take our scissors and just clean it up. So there's that. Get rid of all these extra pieces stuck in my trimmer. Okay, so that's how we adhere the DSP. And the reason I put this extra piece of DSP or extra piece of purple cardstock in is to really give it some stability, because if you just used the DSP paper by itself, it felt a little too flimsy, so I wanted to give it some support. So now we have to tie some twine on it. That'll be the next step. And the way I did that was I'd used two pieces. I'll show you. So what we're going to do is wrap this twine around once, and I leave a tail where I want to tie the bow. So we're just going to wrap it around to get an idea of how much we need, and then I leave another little tail here, let go, and we're going to cut this there, and then we're going to cut a second piece the same length. And what this does is this gives you a floofier bow. Is that a word, floofy? So I'm going to pull about, I don't know, how many inches is that? About 5 inches of a tail. Hold it with my thumb and position it right about where I want the bow to be. Then I'm going to wrap this around like this, place it down, and start to tie my knot. So here's a knot, and then I struggle with bows all the time, so I use a little tweezers that retracts, and so I just stick this in there and hold it while I tie my bow, like so. Pull it out, and then you're going to fuss with it a little bit And you can pull the ends at different lengths so that the bow kind of has a different shape to it. I just think that looks really pretty. So there's our bow. Now we're going to add the back piece of paper. And that's this really pretty coordinating purple Highland Heather. So again, I cut it larger than it needs to be because we're going to trim off the excess and then give it that really nice crisp edge again. So let's add our glue. And I like to put some over the twine so that it stays put. I didn't use my mat. Butt this up right to the score line, like so. Give it a good press. What did I do with my bone folder? Oh, here it is. You're going to have a little bit of a bump from the ribbon, but that's all right. You're not really going to write on this side, so that shouldn't be an issue. Now you want to be careful when you do the trimming that you don't cut the twine. So this one I do by hand. And I just go right along the edge, just like that. Like that. There. So now we have a nice, clean, crisp edge on both sides. All right, and I'm wanting to press this again. Okay, so now we're ready to embellish the front, and we're going to do a little bit of stamping. I've used, in this particular card, you can use whatever. If you have Calypso Coral, you can use that, or if you've just got a pink or something, if anything within this family would be pretty for these flowers. This is die cut from the sheet that comes with the kit. So it's actually this one right here that I have die cut, and I did that already so that it would be quicker for this video. So we're going to do the little stamping and assemble this and put this together. Okay, so there's a piece of paper for the sentiment strip, and this is just scrap white paper that I'm using to stamp the flowers. And this is my little makeshift stamp pad. When I use the clear stamps, I like to have a little cushion underneath it. So I'm going to use purple, this is Gorgeous Grape. And I use that for both the sentiment and the two little flowers. So I'm just going to ink that up. Okay. Then we're going to set that aside, and I'm going to do my little flowers. I couldn't do these for you because I'm not allowed to pre-stamp anything when I send in a kit. So that's why, and it's fun to stamp. You gotta stamp. Okay, so that's all the stamping we need to do. Let me run this through my die machine real fast. So I'm just going to line, and it's nice because these cut both of them at the same time, which I thought was really handy. Just going to line these up. I'm going to use my fabulous Post-it note tape, and if you don't know about that, you should. This is a must-have in your craft room. Post-it tape, I love it. I use it for everything, almost, for die cutting. Okay, so I'm going to run this through. And here I have my two little flowers. And I put the tape back. I do save it. It does get non-sticky after a while, but you can use it for several uses. Okay, so there's my flowers. Here's my sentiment. And let me just tell you, you can cut your own flag ends. if you see in the card, I did flag that end. You can cut your own by hand, or this is called our banner pick-a-punch, and it takes away all of the guessing. You don't have to eyeball your exact angles and corners and stuff that you measure. So I chose to use this to do my flag ends, and the reason it's called pick-a-punch is because it's got these different grooves in it. So you can start with a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, or a full inch, and you just literally slide this in through the guide until it stops, and then press. And then you've got a beautiful flagged end. Now, I'm not going to flag the other end because it's going to be hidden underneath the cactus. So we'll put that aside. And then the other piece that is included in this is a little strip of the Highland Heather, just to put underneath this to give it a little bit of a pop on the card. So we're going to glue that. So let's get out our glue. And this we're going to use pretty sparingly so it doesn't ooze out all over. I'm going to glue that down. And then we're just going to pop this on the back. And you can make it as wide or as skinny as you want. And then we're going to grab our snips, and we're just going to let me pull this out a little bit more, and then we're just going to match the angle just like that, and then you can trim that off because that's end's going to get covered. So now we can almost finish this card. So this is going to go about there, and then we're going to use the cactus and put him up right about there. So I need to trim off a little bit more of this guy so he doesn't poke out through the cactus. And we're also going to use some Stampin' Dimensionals to pop him up. So these are our Stampin' Dimensionals, the regular size. They have a mini size as well. But what we're going to do is put some on the back of the sentiment strip. And that's going to go down first. And then I like to use my take your pick tool and pull off the adhesives just like that. And then put this down right about so. Then this is going to go on like that. So we're not going to need dimensionals basically right here in the center. We're going to need them here and then on the bottom. So I'm going to put one there. Actually, I'm going to use the small one. These are the minis. I like to use the tweezers to get the mini ones off. And then we're going to use a big one down here on the bottom. So that's going to go on there just like that. Lay this down like so. We're going to grab our two little flowers, and we're going to use, we're going to use a mini on this little one. And we're going to use actually a big one on the larger flower. Like so. And the little one's going to go over here. And the big one's going to go, let's see, right about like that. There. Okay. The front is done. Isn't that cute? Now you can leave these little ends of the tail long or swishy. I'm just going to trim these a little bit so they match a little bit better because one end's longer than the other. And you can cut them to different lengths if you like a little bit of a flowy look. Isn't that cute? Okay, for the inside now, we just did a simple sentiment This is cut by 4 by 5 1/4 so that it fits nicely and there's a little border. And so we're going to grab our, let's see, what did I use for the inside? I'm always here for you. So that is this stamp right here. And I used the Gorgeous Grape again. And this is my G block, which is great for sentiments like this. I'm going to use my little stamp pad that I have underneath there. Open up my Gorgeous Grape, stamp this up. And we're just going to put this right here in the center. Now if you wanted to add a little floral embellishment or something down here in the corner, you could, but for this one I left it just very simple. Grab our glue. Got a little clogged up there. There we go. If you want to use Stampin' Seal tape runner instead of glue, you can. I go back and forth. I don't have a strong. I like to use glue when you need wiggle room on some things, and I kind of needed some wiggle room on here. But there you have it. Here's our 2 cards. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you would like to purchase any of the products that we used in this video, whether it be the kit or the pick a banner punch or the scissors, anything, I'll have links to my online shop below, and there will be more cards coming in this kit, so I hope to have you back again and watch the other videos. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.